Hello, my name is Tyler Kimball. I'm the music minister at Trinity United Methodist Church, and this is our second lesson on reading music, and that is the systems of reading music. Obviously, in the last video we've established that there's a treble clef and a bass clef, and those will tell us where the notes go on the staff. So, first we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about different methods of reading it. So, as we said before, G starts right here where this circle loops around on the treble clef. This establishes the note G. And notes can go up chromatically or diatonically. And what does chromatic mean? Well, chromatic means something is just right adjacent to each other. Think about it when you're reading a book, right? And, you know, there's a progression of events. It's just the event that's next to each other. And notes can move down and notes can move up. So, this is G. Notes can go up, right? This space here would be an A. This would be a B. This would be a C. C is very important. D would be on the fourth line. E would be on the fourth space. F can be on the fifth space. And G is on the space right above this line, which I didn't mark, but this would be the, quote, fifth space. And we can go down from here too. This note right here is F as well. That's on the first space. This note right here is E on the first line. This note right here below the line is D. Then, if you draw a dash, which is called a ledger line, to a note right here, this is C. C is going to be a very important identifying note for us, especially. Take a second and look at this for a second. So, I've excused the poorly drawn treble clef, but this is C, and this is one of the most important notes. It's what's going to connect the bass clef to the treble clef. And I'll show you that too. So, what we'll call that is the grand staff. And the grand staff is what we see exactly written in our hymnals. It has all of the music at the same time, right? So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So the notes that always repeat C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There are 8 notes to a scale. So there's different ways we can identify reading these. And there are different systems we use for reading these. The first system is what a lot of singers are familiar with, called solfege. So there's 2 different types of solfege as well. For the purposes of what we'll be doing, we will be using what is called movable do. If you've seen the Mary Poppins movies, you've probably heard do, a deer, a female deer. But do, in a movable do type situation is what we call it, is another type of solfege, movable do. So there's fixed do, which do would sound like do, and then there's movable solfege, which do can be any note, really. So fixed do will always be C, movable do will be any note. So do could be B flat, so it would sound like do, a deer, a female deer. But in a fixed do system, it would sound like do, a deer, a female deer. So it's a little bit different. We'll talk about that. So C in this instance would be do. Re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, and do. Now, we've established that as one method of reading music. So, in a fixed do system, again to review, this is C. This would be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Re, mi, fa, sol. And it keeps going up. And so there's One way to also visually see it is through Roman numerals, which is very important. So the number 1 we will call tonic. That is the first note in a series of notes which comprises of a scale. 2 would be re or D. 3 would be E or mi. 4, IV, I have to think about this, is F, fa. 5 is G. Fa, so, la would be 6. So draw Roman numeral 6. And then 7 would be P or B. And then I'm bad at drawing numbers. I apologize. So that would be VII. And then back to 1. So this series repeats. Notes repeat after each other. So after C, C, D, E, F, G repeats back to the beginning of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like after G is when notes just kind of start repeating the series chromatically. So here's our system. So 1 is called tonic, 2 is called supertonic, 3 is mediant, 4 is subdominant, 5 is our dominant, 6 is a submediant, and 7 is a leading tone, and then that leads us back to tonic. So this Roman numeral system is what's going to really help establish and keep firm our understanding of the function of these notes. And we'll get into that very soon. So, again, we have 5 notes, right? Or 7 notes that always repeat back to our first note, pretty much in a scale. So, take a minute and look over this really quickly. So, I'm going to talk about bass clef, and joining with the treble clef. We're going to identify the notes. First, we can start at our home bass right here. Always remember, bass clef is our F clef, treble clef is our G clef. So this is the note F. So you can go up, G, A, B, and oh look, there's C right here that joins treble to bass clef. Okay, now let's go down from F. E, D, C, B, A, G on that line, and F. And remember, there's 5 lines and 4 spaces. So that's the easiest way spatially that we can identify these. So, F, G, A, B, C, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F. So those are kind of what the notes sound like on bass clef. Then we move on to treble clef. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. Those are what the notes will sound like. Now we're going to really contextualize this at the end of the video. So I'm just going to play a C major scale on piano and show you exactly what it sounds like. This note right here is C. This is the first note that connects the treble clef and the bass clef. So if you're looking at the treble clef first, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. This makes a C major scale. This is called a chord. A chord is a collection of notes. You have 1, 3, and 5. So if you think of notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 5. That's what's going to make a chord. Chords sound really cool. You can just keep going with it. We're going to talk about that too. But a chord is just a collection of notes. This is an interval. 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 And that's just a unison note. Okay? So, Now, if you're looking at the bass clef part, there's one of these keys that doesn't work. So I'll play the key above it when we get to it. So remember, our starting place is C. All right, now if you look at the bass clef, we're going to be starting from the top. So we've C, B, A, G. This is the note that doesn't work. So F, E, D, C. C is going to be that second space. B, A, G, F. That's the bottom note that I have written on that chalkboard over there. Sorry, I can't think of the word. So there's C, treble clef goes up, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And the bass clef goes down, C, B, A, G, F, E, B, C, F, E, D, C, is what it sounds like. So you can kind of put that on a space. And we're going to talk about ear training too. We're going to have some practice for that as well. But just to show you what it's like on a keyboard. So let's review what we've learned really quickly, since I covered a lot of information. So, here are some acronyms that we can remember for lines and spaces on both a treble clef and bass clef. So, for treble clef, for lines, it's E, G, B, D, F. You can think everybody, or every good boy deserves fudge. Or every good boy does fine. Those are some really easy ways to remember that. So the spaces, simply F, A, C, and E. Spells face. Pretty simple to remember that, actually. So we have E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy deserves fudge. Those are the lines. The spaces are F, A, C, and E. Face. Just remember that, and you'll be really set. So on bass clef, our lines are good boys do fly airplanes. So for bass clef, our lines are good boys do fly airplanes. G, B, D, F, A. So G, B, D, F, and A. Alright? And we also have our spaces. And the easiest acronym to remember our spaces for bass clef are all cows eat grass. So, here are the easiest ways to remember spaces. So spaces are all cows eat grass. Lines are good boys do fly airplanes. Easiest way to remember it. Those are the note names. So F, G, A, B, C, or C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So we keep going up and down, right? Easiest acronyms to remember these.